Welcome to Hindsight, the podcast with your hosts, Lee and Eric. With amazing guests who share their unique perspective on the pains and the pleasures of a career change, Lee and Eric's goal is to help demystify the transition process. And now, your hosts, Lee and Eric.
Hey, welcome to Hindsight, the podcast with Lee and Eric. On today's podcast, if you read the title, Eric and I are going to discuss 4 things we wish we knew prior to transitioning from the military.
Take a step back, take a year process, and really treat this transition like it is your full-time job. The first topic that we want to go over is our mental transition. And what does that mean? You have to physically be in the right mental state of mind during your transition. And that's really drawn back in kind of fixing your priorities on what you want to do. And where my struggle was procrastination. I knew that I was going to transition out of the military, but I didn't want to face the elephant in the room. And with that, it ended up doing more harm than any good, waiting till the last minute, kind of really honing in on everything the last 3 months or so before I got out and started really looking for employment and taking it serious. And I wasn't prepared, right? And going through those struggles, and in hindsight, looking at it now, I wish I would have developed a plan, 18 to 12 months out, and really prioritize what career path I wanted to drive in on and where I wanted to go. So me kind of waiting to the last minute, using that procrastination and just using it as an excuse, didn't really have any value. And then in the end, it was just kind of, just going full force at it. So
Right.
What about you, Lee?
Look, the military prepares us to, operate as a kick-ass unit, right? And if everything is going good, it's hard to mentally check out on your team to focus on yourself. It just is. So for me personally, I wish I would have cut sling load a little earlier, with the unit, with the missions and stuff that we had going on. And like you, Eric, I actually did stop about 3 months prior to actually retiring to focus more on my transitioning from the military. And it was a struggle. It was a struggle mentally, and that's only because I was just more comfortable. After 26 years in the army, I was more comfortable dealing with planning exercises and getting prepared. I was supply, right? So inventories and things like that. Those are pain in the butt. Like I knew how to do it. I didn't know how to transition out of the military, so I didn't want to face it, right? So I just kept putting it off and putting it off and putting it off and putting it off, and then finally. Um, I did talk to some individuals that kind of helped me to structure my transitioning process. But I wish I had done that like a year or 2 years prior to me actually getting out. So just, one of the biggest things, honestly, the biggest thing. So, and I'll give you an example, Eric. We talked about this a little earlier before we started the podcast. Like the people who survive in The Walking Dead or any zombie movies are the ones who got there and can switch their mind over. They can get mentally adjusted to the situation around them, right? They given mercy, right? They're not sitting there and saying, "Oh, that's my neighbor, that's my parent." No, that I'm giving them mercy because they're zombies now, right? You got to give your military career mercy. You got to let it go, right? And you got to go ahead and transition your mind and focus on going to that next step to that civilian career. All right. So number 2 is to know your finances, right? So in the army, I was in the army. I didn't have to really know my finances. I knew how much I got paid twice a month, and I didn't have certain expenses because living in housing, the army gives you BAH, they give you BAS for food. I wasn't paying for electricity for at least the first 20 years of my career. You're not paying for water. You're not paying for uh, garbage and stuff to get picked up, right? And these are those things that add up, right? They add up because these are expenses you're going to have to pay for unless you move into an apartment that you're going to have to pay for when you get out. So one of the things that I recommend that I didn't do, and it kind of hurt me, but I recommend that you look at your finances now, right? And do a budget so that you see what you're spending your money on now, and how that equates to how much money you're going to need to live that same lifestyle once you get out of the military. What you think about that, Eric?
Hey, I totally agree. And the biggest thing is save, right? Save, save, save. You should have a nest egg put away to support you and your family's lifestyle for 5 to 6 months. That's every bill, that's every debt owed. You should definitely put away that money so you can transition smoothly and not have that panic of when that next income is going to come in. And that's
Right.
going to help you, and it's definitely going to be beneficial. Um, because that sense of panic of, oh crap, where am I going to get my next check? My ETS is coming up. I only have 2 grand in the bank. Like, that's not enough, right? So you have to be able to save. Luckily, we have the thrift savings plan to kind of fall back on a little bit. Um, but I was able to put some money away and really kind of prepare myself so I wasn't in that panic mode.
So I was in that panic mode. Now I did have thrift saving plan, thank goodness. Did a few deployments, and I really didn't know how much I had in there. So that worked out, and that gave me the money that I needed as for closing on my house, right? But the problem is, I took a serious financial hit with that, like a
Mm,
major financial hit, just taking that money out. And if I had planned better, right, I wouldn't have been taken from my thrift savings plan. I'd have been taken from a savings account, right? So there's no negative hit on my money. I mean, it was significant. It was probably like one fourth, close to one fourth of that money got taken that I had in there just so I could pull
wow.
the money out. Yeah, it was pretty significant. So
That's crazy. And a couple of more things to add to that, Lee. There are plenty of apps out there that you can use, sort of like Digit or NerdWallet, that will round up your checking. So within a few months, and it's saving 5, 10 cents a day, or sometimes a few dollars a day, just to spend, just depending on your spending habits. I mean, in 4 or 5 months, you can have a couple of grand saved up.
right, okay,
So, next thing that we want to cover is your support channel, right? Recognize your support channel, recognize your friends and family that are with you, and have them be part of this decision making process. It's not only your life that is transitioning. If you have wife or some kids, their whole lives are changing as well. So make sure that you are sitting down. You guys are open book with each other, and you guys are walking through the entire process. It's not going to happen overnight. I mean, I struggle with the communication with my spouse, and kind of just closed door, thinking that I could figure everything out. But use the support channel of your family and friends. A great thing, for Lee and I, we had each other because we kind of got out at the same time, and we switched over, but we were there for each other as friends, but we didn't really know the personal struggles that the both of us were feeling and what that impact was. And looking back on it, in hindsight, it's just having that sense of regret, knowing that I had Lee the entire time, but we just weren't using each other for that full kind of emotional friend support.
exactly. Yeah, I definitely regret that because I mean, we talked, but not, we didn't use each other's strengths. We didn't use each other's knowledge, each other's failures and stumbles and all of that stuff to help each other get through it as smoothly as we can. Even though, we got through it pretty smoothly, to really look at it. But I think, we just didn't utilize each other like we should have. I mean, the show is called Hindsight, so we're looking back on things and like, wow, we had a true asset right there that we just didn't take advantage of. So definitely keep family involved. That's an excellent point. Family, friends. Um, there's a lot of agencies out there as well that help soldiers and well, I keep saying soldiers because I'm in the army, so forgive me, all the Marines and Navy and Airmen. I apologize. I can only speak on my experience, but there are um, a lot of people and a lot of um, communities that kind of assist military people with transitioning out, and typically they are prior military, right? So they understand the struggles, and that's why Eric and I are here doing this podcast right here because we've done it and we understand the mental pressures behind it. We understand the struggles and the hurdles that you got to do, and we just wanted to pay it forward. Just tell some of our stories, some of the things that we didn't do properly, some of the things we learned along the way, and just give some tips along the way as well. So definitely utilize Eric and I, in the future when you're transitioning out, along with family, because we're all family. We're all in this together, right? Um, so just wanted to put that plug in there. We're available to you to help you out. If only, it could just be listening to these podcasts and hearing these stories, right?
And a great site for additional support, Lee, is millvet.org. They will post anything from housing to VA help. If you're doing a medical claim, you can have an advocate assigned to you. So definitely check out millvet.org.
Awesome, and we'll put that in the show notes. And also, just so you know, this is the very first episode of Hindsight the podcast. So Eric and I just wanted to come out and have a conversation with you, and tell you these four things to consider prior to transitioning. But in the future, we will be having some special guests on here, some prior military individuals who transition out, just like we all are doing, and also some civilians who volunteered to help us do this. Some military, prior military, some current military people who help us get through this whole process, right? So I hope you to tune in to some future episodes because they will be pretty good. And I won't say that it's just going to be military people because we're going to try to interview some real estate people, some people from Hollywood, some people from all walks of life right now, right? Just to help you with tips on how to get into that career field. So anyway, I'm spinning out and I'm going to reel myself back in because we have to get to this final most important consideration that you need to keep in mind when you begin transitioning. And I'm gonna do a drum roll. What is that, Eric? Tell them right now because this is so important. Hold on, let me just. I want to express how important this is. And Eric, I want you to tell them why this is so important. Number 4 consideration. What you got?
It's networking. Networking is the number one key to a successful transition. It's all about shaking hands and who you can get in front of and have a conversation. You can only sell yourself. Nobody else can sell yourself. A resume, it's going to go through everything that you have done in your career, but you standing in front of somebody, shaking their hand, maybe not shaking their hand, give them a little elbow bump since it's COVID. But
pre-COVID
right,
handshake.
right. That is going to be your number one asset. And I was at a veterans career conference and I shook the hand of somebody, just introduced myself, let him know my background. And he was the lead procurement officer for a major fast food company here in San Diego County. And knowing that and being able to connect with him, he was a retired colonel from the Marine Corps. And just having that conversation led me into, 3 or 4 interviews and a job offer at the end of it. So you honestly don't know who you're meeting until you shake their hand. And networking has to be your number one priority.
Eric and I went on a couple networking activities. Remember the one we went in Oceanside? I can't remember if that guy was a retired general or colonel.
One of them.
You know what I'm saying? And he was actually running for Congress or some political seat.
Colonel Applegate.
It was Applegate, right? I wasn't going to drop names. I knew.
Oh, my bad.
But anyway, we went to this event at a bar, and it was kind of cool because it was the first time we ever went for something, I guess dealing with politics, anything like that. And he's out and he's walking around talking. I think it was a couple other of the candidates were there too, right? The Democratic ones, anyway. And so they're walking around talking to the different people who were there. And then, we get to talking to him and he's like, "Oh, you guys were in the military." And so we just got a bond, and we just chopping it up, just talking shop. You know what I mean? And it was so cool because Eric and I can say I won't speak for Eric, but I wasn't really expecting much. I thought maybe we just walk in there and, have a drink and, see the people and kind of just feel the vibe of the room. But, we actually became, um, I don't know. He was pretty much putting his hand up and telling everybody else to wait while we were finishing our conversation. It was pretty cool. So, and followed him. LinkedIn is another connecting, networking, digital networking type thing. Everyone get a LinkedIn account, but follow him on there, and there you go.
Hey,
So there's a connection.
Lee, I like your story about the biotech conference that we went to.
Yeah, so Eric and I, it was a bunch of us. It was like 6 people. We were in the bathroom at this biotech conference that was held for military people who were transitioning out of the military because they were trying to hire more military people based off of soft skills that they know that we have, some leadership and all that, and they just wanted to promote what they have to offer to different types of jobs, and they wanted to recruit some military people. So anyway, we're in the bathroom and I'm trying to tie my tie. No, who was it? Was I tying your tie, Eric, or was
Yeah.
you tying? All right, so I'm
Yeah, so we had YouTube on. You were trying to tie my tie. I don't know
yeah.
why we're 2 grown men and don't know how to tie a tie, but
So while we're in the bathroom trying to tie our ties, um, this guy he was just like, man, working in Southern California, they need to have a ban on wearing ties. Why do we even have to wear ties out here? We should just go casual all the time. And I was like, ha ha ha. We laughed and chopped it up again, and it was pretty cool. So we went out and they had a breakfast laid out, some tables, and we all sat down at the table and started eating and still talking about just anything, nothing in particular. And one of the gentlemen, he had a young lady come up to him and was like, "Sir, da da da." I really don't know what she said, but I know it was something to the effect of, "We are about to start," right? And so he got up and he was like, "All right, excuse me, gentlemen," and he kind of left. And turns out that he was one of the CEOs because there were a bunch of CEOs that were there presenting um, their what is it? I guess their pitch on what biotech has to offer, and he was just one of the CEOs that was selected to talk to us. So the whole point is, me and Eric thought that he was just a military person who was transitioning out, right? Definitely held ourselves professionally and also fun, right? But we didn't know who this guy was, right? And just in having a conversation and just talking, we created a connection because there was actually 2 CEOs that were sitting at the table. One who I'm still in contact with now, and I actually have his ear, and he has my ear when he's looking for talent to come and work for him at his company. So I thought that was a pretty cool story. It's funny how it all plays out and works out that way. But the only way it's going to play out and work out that way is if you get out there and talk to people.
that is
Uh,
it.
I think
And
I
with
lose you,
that
Eric.
too, yeah, no, with that too, plan around the pandemic. COVID is going on, especially here if you're on the West Coast. It's really not going anywhere. So most interviews are either being done on the phone or Zoom. So make sure you're prepared. clean up your bedroom, make it nice and tidy, and practice your Zoom interviews. That's a number one thing. At my company, we're constantly on Teams all day long. And I'm fielding calls all day long. But that's just how interviews and the working place is now.
Yeah, everything is Zoom, Teams, the digital media now. I wish I had bought. In hindsight, I wish I had bought stock in Zoom. How about that?
Oh
But
no.
anyway, that's a whole nother topic. I guess it can go into the finances part, but but not really. So hey, look, we're gonna wrap this up. Not gonna talk your ears off about it, but just to wrap up, get your mind right. You get what I'm saying? Get your mind right. When it's time to transition, it's time to transition. You got to let the old stuff go. You got to let the military go because best believe when you leave, they will have someone else to do your job, right? No matter what they tell you, you are not going to stop that wheel from moving, right? Get your mind right. Know your finances. This is important. I didn't know my finances. It worked out, but I didn't know my finances. I didn't really know how much I needed to have going for, especially in savings or how much I needed to be making in order to maintain the same lifestyle or get better. Right. So, learn your finances. That could be a budget. Well, I'll actually have a guest on here who will talk about that. I'll ask her some questions about that, some tips from her, because I actually went to a class and they kind of broke that down for us. But know your finances. Keep your family in the loop. Keep your friends in the loop, right? Bounce stuff off of them. If Eric and I would have bounced stuff off of each other, we could have made things a lot easier for the both of us, But we didn't. We still made it. We still got out and we transitioned, right? But we could have made it that much easier. And last but not least, get out there and start talking to people. You got to network in this day and age. Now, I know it's challenging. So, Eric, I think we're going to probably have to maybe do another short podcast and just talk about some strategies for navigating the transition during the COVID time. Right. Just
Definitely. And
different
we'll
things.
definitely post some links in our bio of anything that we come across.
Right. So, look, guys, this has been great. This is short and sweet. This is the first podcast episode that we're doing. Um, I really am excited for what's coming up this year, 2021. We have some exciting guests that will bring a lot of information to you, a lot of stories, a lot of tips, right? And also, we're going to be, I haven't figured out exactly what I want to do, Eric, but I want to do a contest or a giveaway, so we'll have to figure that out. Hey, and if you're listening to this and you got some ideas on, what we could do for a contest and how to win in the contest, just put a message in the notes, a comment in the notes, and me and Eric will take a look at it. Take a look at it. I don't know how we're gonna take a listen to it. We just wrote it, but we'll take a look at it. All right, Eric, it's on you. I'm done talking.
All right, so I am very excited about our future episodes. We have a lot in store for you. I think 2021 is definitely going to be the year of change.
Definitely.
So let's make this year impactful and meaningful. And we will be providing a ton of people and resources, and we'll be crap. We gotta cut that.
No, we ain't gotta cut it. See, and that's the beauty of this. This is the first episode, right? So this is brand new to us. We just all we know is we want to get information out to you. That's what we want to do. And if we make mistakes, forgive us. Okay, we're not professionals. We're not. What's my man name with the long curly hair that used to be on Sirius XM radio, the first jock? What was his name? See, it doesn't matter. We forgot. We don't know right now. The point is, we're going to get information out of you. We're going to get information out to you. We're going to make mistakes, but if you forgive us, listen to the content. Everything will be smooth. We'll get better. You'll love us. We'll love you. That's
Hey,
how
that's
I'm looking
it.
at it. I'm being super optimistic right here, guys. So anyway, let's go ahead and wrap this up, Eric. Hey, we'll see you in 2 weeks. And follow us on Instagram, hindsight underscore the podcast. And I will put out some information there on the upcoming guests. All right. See you then.
Out.
Out.